Hello, happy Saturday. Just getting everything just right so you can see me. Wow, what a week. What a week, what a week, what a week. I have really felt for the past 7 days since last Saturday, really deep shifting, foundational shifts in the consciousness and in the body and in the collective consciousness on Earth. And it's subtly just opened itself up. It's almost like sediment being stirred up, and how slowly things start to rise to the surface. That's how I've observed my own process this week. So I'm curious to see in this oracle reading what's next, what this full moon will be bringing in for us. And there's other astrological things going on. I don't know exactly what those are. I really try to limit the amount of information I'm taking in about astrology. So I couldn't tell you what any of that is from an astrological studied place, but as usual, I'm here just to interpret through the oracle reading what the energies are present for us and how we may be viewing this in the collective, how we may be feeling this in our bodies and in our relationships. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever new videos are uploaded. And if you know someone that might appreciate this, or if you found it helpful and insightful, please share. The most social media I do is YouTube, and I'm back a little bit on Instagram, but it's very limited. There's comments have been turned off on there, and I'm not checking messages. It's really solely just to have some kind of connection with standard social media. So would love if you share it on your platforms with Facebook and Twitter and anything else out there that you think it could help reach other people that might find this information assistive. So let's go ahead and jump in, and I would love to hear from people how this week has been, what it's presented to them, and how they're feeling moving into this next week. Okay. So right off the bat, let's take a look at a collective reading. Oh, so 2 cards popped out here. The first is, let your heart listen to the call of your soul. It is longing for your attention. You will know your true purpose here on earth at this time of acceleration and evolution. And boy, do we know it. So one of the things I've been interpreting as I've been watching the energy this week is that we are meeting another very big wave of ascension. Maybe close to the same caliber and intensity that we experienced back in March 2020. It will look very different, and we are receiving it differently, but you may find that in your body that you're being challenged in some kind of health crisis. This is a natural part of your evolutionary process, and it's very much tied to the purging of the cells and the DNA where the karmic residue is held, especially generational. There's so much happening around foundations, the foundational beliefs. And that's associated with our base chakra, which is very closely related to our immunity. So I'm just going to drop that in before we go any further. If that's you, just know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. It's just a part of the little deaths that we go to become something new in a world that's changing really fastly, very vigorously. So it's actually it's very intelligent and by design that if you are going through a healing crisis, that it is supporting you into being able to fully show up in this next phase of the collective ascension. I'm going to leave the other card that fell out for later. It just doesn't feel like it's quite time to read into it. So let's continue to see how our mind may be affected by this incoming full moon. And it's remarkable how when I do these readings, there tends to be these patterns where cards from the last reading are still present and showing us that we're still working, we're still in a phase of completion or integration or even birthing. So the card that has returned from the last one is you think the solution to your inner problems is in the world outside. But nobody has ever truly become okay by changing things outside. There's always the next problem. The other card is that which is holding you down can become a powerful force that raises you up. You just have to be willing to take the ascent. I want a little bit of clarification. I just feel that so much of this energy is being felt in the physical body, also in the emotional body. But just as I'm reading this, it keeps coming, this loop keeps coming back up about safety in the body. And if you're in a healing crisis, how does that show up in feeling unsafe? How does it show up as feeling threatened or unsure? Where does it start to trigger all of your fears about provision and safety? Well, I'm gonna miss out on my job, which means I'm gonna miss out on money, and I'm gonna miss out on this social activity. Am I gonna still be a part of the group? Or maybe it's like, I feel like these are even bigger collapses. I've watched a couple people and heard from a couple people. It's like total careers are starting to collapse in on themselves, or big chunks of the personality, the identification as a leader or a caregiver or some role that you've played that has been very vital in your identification and gratification and value is now crumbling before you. That which is holding you down can become a powerful force that raises you up. You just have to be willing to take the ascent. Yeah. So I'm starting to feel more of these generative currents coming in around these messages, which to me always means that we're getting strong truths. Okay. Surrender. Yeah. I really like the metaphors that I've been introduced to around life, death, pause, and rebirth. And I've found it helpful for me if I can start to create some relationship with where I'm at in life with one of these phases. When we think about summer's like typically the like childhood. It's free and not non-caring, but it's just free of like the attachments that adults have. Or there's a sense of that. There's a sense of freedom in that, joy and expansiveness and play and social. And that was one of the messages that came through with our new moon. But now we're starting to move into a new cycle, a new phase, a new evolutionary push for the collective. And there's a need to surrender. And what I'm just feeling in myself is such a tenderness in this process. And all of the different emotions that arise when we go through a death process, when we are saying goodbye to something, when we are letting go. There's certainly a collective closure that is upon us. We're moving into a really new phase. So surrender is always key in this. How can we surrender ourselves in the way of, okay, I acknowledge I'm really having some strong sensations and visceral reactions to my fear of abandonment, my fear of rejection, my fear of lack of money, fear of lack of resources, fear of being alone, fear of being happy, fear of being intimate. Can you allow yourself to have the human experience of all of these things and notice, well, what is your process and surrender look like? How does it feel in your body? How is it to know that you're sick and there's nothing you can do but just be there with it, be there with yourself, just like the ideal mother who puts everything aside, who's washing the dishes and running the laundry, and you come in and you've hurt your toe and she drops everything and just devotes her complete undivided attention to you with loving embrace and kindness, and not trying to fix the toe, because actually the toe is okay. It's going to heal. It's in its own process. And that process has an intelligence. But she's just there with you as you're experiencing the human emotions in your body and listening to all of the thoughts that it provokes in the mind. How can you become that for yourself? And see, this is one of the ways that we start to change our society. This may be a month where tempers are very high, where people have a greater tendency to be destructive and to be hot and difficult. And that can include ourselves being short-tempered, even violent. So how can we embrace this in our daily lives with ourselves so that then we can hold that space for other people? Because every time that we have these states of reactiveness, like have you ever really watched a conflict, just standing outside and you're just witnessing the conflict? Every conflict, you could actually see more of like a childlike behavior happening. It's like this, somebody takes your toy and you punch them, take it back, or you take your toy and you leave. So if you start to view through that lens, you see that so many of us are just children that have been forced into these adult situations, but haven't matured. And so we have to show up as a full, complete, caring adult, as divine mother, divine father, individually and in union. And that always comes from ourselves first. Self-esteem is also implied here. I feel like this card wants to tell us a little bit more. So how do these situations where you feel helpless, you're feeling confronted, maybe by your own actions, maybe by some situation that's happened recently or even in the past, how is that affecting your self-esteem? Are you letting those? Are you starting to create a narrative, or have you created and lived by a narrative that says you're not worth it? You did this, so you should be punished. And so therefore you create situations that punish you, or you indulge in self-punishment. I possess gifts of the soul, and that benefits me and others. It is easy to perceive others as being better than you. This is a trap of the ego. There is no one greater or lesser than you. There are only those who have learned how to reveal their gifts to a greater or lesser degree. Everyone is born with unique abilities of the soul, and just like snowflakes, no two are ever alike. You have a unique perspective to share with the world and have come back this time to put your stamp on it. Perhaps you may not be aware, even in tune with your incredible and gifted self. Why not try to make a list of 10 aspects of yourself or abilities you possess that you love and hold in high regard? So it's really time to own up to all of our strengths. And it's such a dichotomy that really our strengths, a lot of our strengths, our greatest strengths and our purpose and our gifts are in the places we think we're the weakest. And even the places that the outside world has projected as weak. It's always in the pain and in the fear and all of these little crevices of the human psyche that all of the gold and the gems and the rubies and the strength and the power lies. It's all in those hidden places. So everything that might already be occurring for you right now, or will continue for the next 2 weeks, as this moon is just really calling us into our power. But it calls us into our power not by going directly to the height of our expression of power, but going into the depths, going through a death process. We don't find these places actually in the light. We take the light with us into the darkness, and that light is faith. It's the faith. It's the greatest of these is faith, love, and hope. So it's maintaining that awareness that I'm actually okay in this moment, even though everything around me is decaying and falling apart, or at least it feels like that. It feels really real. And in a physical sense, if you're dealing with a physical healing crisis, I mean, I'm not going to say there's no greater degree of that, but that's a very confronting experience for your physical health to dwindle. But in that, there is a tremendous strength that you start to cultivate, because there's nothing you can do but surrender to that process for you at that time. All right. The middle world. I don't generally use these cards, but this was a special reading. And this is, again, about this new life we're creating. It's the foundation. It's the root chakra, which is connected to the earth, which is connected to everyone and all beings here on this earth. It is the collective energy, which is why we are seeing this ascension wave. And for us, maybe that shows up like a COVID infection. Maybe it shows up as let's see what the cards may want to expose. The middle world is the realm of day-to-day reality and the playground of the living. It is the present moment where everything is happening. Yet the middle world is created by the future, not only the past, and it is a mirror of the invisible realms. When things are right in the middle world, heaven and earth support everything. When they are not right, heaven and earth must be brought into order as well. The middle world shows up when conditions are favorable to your undertaking. Do not hesitate. Move forward as heaven and earth are smiling upon you. The time is right, so be expedient, but mindful of not being reckless. The world is your playground, and what would require great effort at any other time can be accomplished with ease right now. Do not try to correct in the earth what needs to be corrected in the heavens. The resources to support the change or endeavor you are considering are not readily available to you yet. So it's important to ask for help from the invisible realms, from helpers in the upper worlds. For now, wait. So this indication is about not so much taking action in the outer world, which comes back to one of our first cards here that says you think the solution to your inner problems is in the outside world, but nobody has ever truly become okay by changing things outside. So that is the key here. There is this request to lean on our higher self, on higher beings. And although we aren't taking maybe large leaps in the outside world, not that you aren't taking action, there's an ease because you're in the flow. So as we surrender into the flow, whatever that may be, and sometimes that means total inaction and just being still, being in the discomfort of being still, because now all of the things can come up to show themselves to you. You can have all the feelings and fully let them move through your system. Or opportunities may show up. There may be invitations that come through other people, other situations that you haven't wanted to listen to or follow or engage in because of some fear. And now there's an opening for you to flow more easily through all of these places. When you allow the consciousness of divine love to rule your life, you become a magnet for love. And most important, you radiate this love to all life around you. The bigger picture is being painted of how this is a collective awakening, and each of us are so vital in this process. Maybe you find it helpful, maybe not, when you're in your own suffering, to take the perspective much bigger and realize that you are a part of a very intricate network, and the work that you're doing through your own suffering is contributing to alleviating the collective suffering. Our last card, I think this has been a unique reading. The energy here is very unique. Mamakila, Mandala of the Moon. Mama Kila. Here's this card. Forgive me, I just realized that I didn't turn on my lighting. I, the lunar mother, bring you my mandala of the moon to manifest through the law of magnetic attraction. My mandala is the sacred portal through which your dreams, intentions, and visions shall pass into the wholeness of being, from the realm of inspiration into the world and form on earth. There is no need for doubt or concern, for even the appearance of delay signifies that the divine feminine mystery is at work, with timing unfolding according to a higher loving wisdom. Trust that a falling away is meant to be. Have faith in new divine works being born. And the full moon, that is what the full moon is. It is the natural cycle of release. It is every 28 days that a woman has her menstrual cycle, where her body is cleansed, her womb is cleansed. It is every 28 days that a snake sheds its skin. And there's many other sacred geometry that shows this 28-day cycle of release. And for us, it's very revolutionary around the unconscious mind. It brings the unconscious mind to the surface. And this is it's the illumination phase of the moon. So this is the illumination of the unconscious material. And for us right now, this reading is illustrating to us that this is big. This is not a small little cycle we're in. It's big. It's going to feel big. You have to keep going in. You have to keep going in. You have to continue to turn inwards and look at how you are perceiving your challenges. Are you in every moment of being ill or being angry or being frustrated? Are you reinforcing that by saying in your mind, I'm so frustrated about this. I'm so pissed off about that. I feel so awful. Are you just reconfirming and attracting this over and over and over to yourself? Not that you want to deny the state of your being, but is it possible that maybe the confirmation, the consistent confirmation of that is keeping you in that place and maybe not allowing for there to be expansion or for doors to open to perceive it in a new way? And what does surrender mean to you? Really, what does it mean in your body to surrender? And what does it mean for your soul to surrender? Does it mean that you have to face these fear? It's a very real fear of death, even if it's not the physical, it feels like it to our system, to our limbic system. It still is a real threat. And it doesn't feel any different than your actual life being ended. Because to the ego, it is an ending of who you are. But this is the path of liberation. This is the path away from suffering. And the deeper you can allow your place to go, the deeper you can allow yourself to go into those places, not only the stronger and more resilient you become, but the more your heart actually opens, because the heart has to break in order to open. Not always, but I've found that some of the most profound heart healing that I've experienced was through my heart breaking. And being able to fully experience both ends of those spectrums of blissful joy and elation, ecstasy, as well as hell, and not denying them, but being aware that everything changes, it will change. There is a divine design that is guiding your life, that is guiding the collective life, and that right now we're in the next big push, the next big transition of phases. Are you in the death phase? Are you in the pause in between where there's just really nothing you can do except for just be in pause and enjoy it? So can you enjoy that? Can you even enjoy the death phase? Wow, this is really intense and is stirring some incredible emotions in me. My body feels like it is actually dying. What a remarkable experience. And even more so remarkable that you get to practice at the ultimate transition into the next life. When we can experience the little deaths through our days. You know, are you in the being born phase, which coming through the birth canal, it's pressurized, and you go from this, you know, very cozy and safe environment into a very loud and chaotic world. You know, are you feeling overwhelmed? That might be you being reborn. So how can you find appreciation for whatever stage you're in? When you allow the consciousness of divine love to rule your life, you become a magnet for love. And most important, you radiate this love to all life around you. Let your heart listen to the call of your soul. It is longing for your attention. You will know your true purpose here on earth at this time of acceleration and evolution. All right, that is the last piece to this oracle reading, is that this is like for many of us who've been on this evolutionary path of self-understanding, self-realization, this is going to be a very big part of you actualizing your purpose. You the illumination of your purpose. Your purpose is in your weaknesses, your pain, your struggle. That is your purpose. It is inside of there. It is to live fully through those experiences and realize you can be reborn from it. And then you can help other people through it. You'll know all of the roads and the navigation through the tricks and the darkness and all of the little places where we can get distracted and sometimes feel left behind in the journey. This is your purpose. So can you embrace the obstacles as you are embracing your purpose? It will come to light. Can you surrender more? Just feeling into last words of wisdom. Honor your strength. Honor the fact that you've gone through some shit, that you're in some shit, and yet you're still taking the next breath. You're still doing the next thing. You're still being human too, and you're still feeling, you know, irritated and pissed off and angry and like life's unfair. Like all of that is a very human experience. You can have that. You can absolutely have that. And also know that you are a warrior, that you are a badass, and that you can take on whatever life throws at you. Yeah. Embrace any place where an opportunity has opened itself. It's probably very subtle. But it could keep you from spinning your wheels in the wrong direction or causing more suffering. This feels complete. I hope that it was helpful for you. The next couple weeks and even just the rest of July are probably going to be a more intense time, and that can go in either direction depending on what lenses you're viewing the world through. Just keeping in mind that the place that you're in, the emotional states that you're in, is it something that you want to continue to generate more of? And if so, let yourself rest into those places, rest into the moments of gratitude, the moments of appreciation, of honoring being human in your process. And then if you're charged with energies that you're not wanting to continue to reacquaint yourself with, how do you surrender? How do you accept it and let it go? Accept and let go. Whatever it is, let it go. If it's good, let it go. If it's bad, let it go. Just let it go. And just be in the now. I love reading your comments. So thank you so much for sharing about what's present. Hey, Amanda. So good to have you with me on this chat. I love to hear about how each of you are assimilating and processing and what you're needing. I may even drop in and do another video before the new moon because it just feels like it may be needed. So tell me where you're at, and just in you sharing, it can be a real support for the collective community. And always so grateful for this community and to be here on Earth at this time of acceleration and evolution, as the card says. And just wishing you a pure and simple life. Pura vida.